The following two videos are inspired by writer Z.M. Thomas of Trepidation Comics. He made a couple of tweets on his Twitter/X page, and what I learned from them is that from time to time you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable and give yourself these experiences to learn from these experiences. Otherwise, in terms of new experiences, you will never have the egocentric information that is required for you to learn the best things possible. Without such egocentric information, you are restricting yourself to only having an exocentric or theoretical knowledge of the situation. As in, I think this is what I should do based on the information I heard from other people. So, based on such hypotheses, I think this is what the experience is going to be like. As a result, those tweets, coupled with another factor, gave me the push I needed to finally attend my first ever Comic Con that happened in Tampa a few weeks ago. And I attended this as a legally blind person to allow myself to become vulnerable as much as possible and give myself that experience to learn the most I can from an egocentric perspective of such an experience so that I can use that knowledge to help out and better inform other legally blind people who wish to attend Comic Cons. Thus, these next two videos will be about me attending live events as a legally blind person. This first video will be on both channels, both the main, the Bengal Dragon channel, and Blind Man Reviews channel. The second video will be exclusive to the Blind Man Reviews channel. So, welcome everyone. My name is Tanveer Syed. On this channel, I'm either the Bengal Dragon or Blind Man Reviews, whatever channel you're watching it on. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons, as all that support really helps this legally blind YouTuber remain motivated to continue making many videos on either or both channels. Thank you so much for your support. So here's how it started. Over on Twitter, I came across the information that a lot of celebrities are actually going to attend the Tampa Bay Comic Con 2024 event. This included Dave Foley, David Hayter, Alyson Court, Andy Serkis, Elijah Wood, Charlie Cox, and so many others. Okay. In fact, I was told that even Brutus the Barber Beefcake was actually in attendance as well. So, not only the side of me that appreciates Resident Evil, but the Fallout fan in me and the Metal Gear Solid fan in me, videos about both of which I have made on the Bengal Dragon channel, got super excited. I have to attend this event, but travel being such an issue, considering that I'm legally blind, and why do I keep bringing that up? Because in Florida, if you're legally blind, you cannot get a driving license by legal means. And if you have lived in Florida, you know how dependent everything is on you having the ability to drive a car. And as a result, I tweeted, it is times like these that I loathe being legally blind because this is outside of the area that I can access, as in it's outside of Orlando or Miami. That's what I meant. Because I am in Florida Tech, okay, Melbourne, Florida campus, and there are constantly people who are offering rides to Miami and Orlando. So if this was in Miami or Orlando, I could have managed somehow. However, this was in Tampa, so it was a bit of an issue. But I also mentioned blind man will find a way in my tweet. However, my elder brother came to know of this and he said that he's going to give me the ride. And I'm very thankful for him giving me this ride and also like taking me to this Tampa Bay Comic Con event, basically accompanying me and assisting me as much as possible, because even he knew that I was trying to give myself that type of an experience of a legally blind person, unaided as much as possible, like not to stupid levels, but as much as possible in a comic convention, having that experience. So, given his schedule and everything, I'm very thankful for him giving me this ride and also accompanying me in this event. So, as part of my prep work, just as a precaution, I printed out on hard paper the tickets with the QR codes. And this is one tip I will give to visually impaired or legally blind people. Okay, sometimes your technology can fail you. So, it is always good to have backups whenever possible, as much as possible. As I understood that being completely unaided was not a prudent choice, but would turn out to be a foolish choice, my brother did say that yes, he will help me out as much as possible, but also allow me to have that type of egocentric experience as much as possible. He did mention that these Comic Con events are very visual events. So I need to basically prepare myself mentally to attend a very visual event. And finally, in this lineup, Alyson Court, and my intuition told me that ZM Thomas, because I'm counting them as one unit, are going to attend the event. If you must know, with regard to people from Canada, there are three people specifically I want to meet in person. One of them is Alyson Court, well, and ZM Thomas as well. So I'm counting them as one unit, as mentioned. I've already met them. The other two are Steven Scott, aka Crazy Steve, and Lisa J slash Lisa Yamanaka. Now, I follow Crazy Steve on Twitter, but Lisa, I cannot find her on Twitter. So if you know what her Twitter handle is, please put it in the comment section below or just communicate this to me somehow. I am legally blind, I am disabled, and if you're following my channel, you should know why I'm trying to meet Steven Scott and Lisa Yamanaka. It's to personally thank them for their contributions for people with disabilities in a variety of ways. And I have been taught, not just as an etiquette of philanthropy that I've been doing for more than 5 years, it's actually going close to 6 years now, but also as an etiquette of good manners, that a gesture in person is more meaningful than a gesture over a text message or social media. So you can also include a bit of an Eastern cultural etiquette, I guess. So overall, I had a lot of reasons to attend this Comic Con. Okay, the celebrities, the people I want to meet, the experience, and for $50, I think this is a very good deal. Finally, I wanted to take a bit of a welcome back to Florida gift for Alyson and Zach. Basically, like, especially I think Alyson is coming back to Florida after a while. I don't know. My intuition told me that as well. Okay. So I wanted something that had Florida tech on it, just, as an unofficial welcome gift. Obviously, like, it's my gift. So, like, I'll be purchasing the gift and whatnot. So I went to the gift store here on the Florida Tech campus. And by the way, a lot of colleges have gift stores and bookstores and whatnot. And the least amount of things they sell usually are books. They sell a lot of tech, souvenir items, day to day use items, you name it. Okay. When I mentioned that I am taking a gift for a celebrity, and by the way, I have never taken a gift for a celebrity before. So, like, just an innocent gift for a celebrity. The person asked, may I ask which celebrity? When I mentioned the star of the Big Comfy Couch, Lunette the Clown, the attendant, she said, like, oh my God, yes, I remember her. Hold on. I have to go talk to my manager. And then the manager actually suggested that I get a couple of gifts for Alyson and Zach, which basically I've gotten. Now, in these events, right, a lot of people go with costumes. And all of you on my Bengal Dragon channel, you know which costume I used to go to this event, right? I dressed up as the real Batman, okay, because bats are basically legally blind. And if you must know, they have very poor eyesight compared to their other animal counterpart, just like me. All right. and rely also more heavily on sound. The backstory is Bruce Wayne was my accountant who stole everything from me, and I will not stop fighting for what is mine. Which brings me to the final reason why I attended this event. Okay, I dressed up as the real Batman and I wanted to take a specific picture with the original Claire Redfield. Okay. And yes, I paid for that photo op. In fact, I paid for that photo op before I paid for the ticket. All right. And I have taken the picture and I will explain the context of the picture I took dressed as the real Batman with the original Claire Redfield at the end of this video. So do stick around for that. Now, moving on to the actual event, I kept an eye out for a few things. First is the parking. Okay. This is important because it determines how far a legally blind person has to walk in uncharted territory at that time, if that is that person's first attendance. And basically, walking in uncharted territory, it is a bit more tedious than you would expect for people with full vision. I mean, the parking wasn't too bad, so it was all right. Next, I also noticed that around the convention center, right, not every traffic light that I encountered had those little machines that told you when to wait and when to cross the road. Okay. This inconsistency I've also seen in Washington, D.C., where not every traffic light will have those machines. Okay. However, in the UK, almost every traffic light I have come across has those machines that tell you when to wait and when you can cross a road. Okay. And this inconsistency makes movement, especially outside, outdoors, in public areas, very tedious for people with low vision because the mapping process, they have to create separate maps based on these inconsistencies, separate conceptual mental maps, and plan out different routes to get to various destinations. Okay, so if the presence of such machines were more uniform, then that concept mental map making would have been much more easier. After me and my brother checked in, I noticed that there was a specific, those moving flat escalators I have heard are called walkolators in some parts of the world. Okay, that are specifically designated for people with ADA needs. So that was a very good touch. At the event, however, the venue was very big, and my brother took me to many of the exhibits, including one from NASA, including one that showed basically weapons of the medieval period and whatnot, and even some other artistic exhibits like hand woven, hand drawn exhibits. Okay, I actually got to, well, touch and feel a medieval sword. And just as a joke, I compared the size of that and the dimensions of that to my own blind cane. And I basically figured out that I have something the size of a medieval sword that I'm carrying everywhere that I go. But considering the size of the venue, my brother suggested that I download the app, which brings me to another piece of advice. For people with disabilities, in unfamiliar territory, use technology as much as possible to your advantage. The app definitely helped me in finding out the roster and the schedule of events and where they were taking place. I also noticed that it was never indicated that what the uniforms of the event attendants should look like. And this is important because for people with low vision, if they require assistance, the first thing that comes to their mind is find an event attendant who can assist you. Okay. If they don't know what the event attendant looks like, especially when it comes to uniform, they don't even know who to reach. So maybe a piece of advice there for improvements for future events. I also asked my brother to keep an eye out for any other visually impaired people, as in people who have a blind cane or a seeing eye dog. And he said that he might have might have come across one other person who he saw had a blind cane, but this person did not have the blind cane extended, was not walking like someone with a visual impairment. Because, yes, especially in unfamiliar territory, people who are legally blind, if they're not familiar with their surroundings, will tend to walk a little slowly. And there are a few other movement differences as well. And also, the person was wearing a daredevil costume. So it might have been part of the costume, that blind cane. And from this experience, right, I understand a bit more why a legally blind person would not want to attend a Comic Con unaided. Yes, a Comic Con is very visual, and my brother kept telling me that Comic Cons are very visual things, and part of the fun is actually the visual experience and seeing the creative ways many people dress up in costumes. I mean, there was even someone dressed up as Spider T Rex in the Tampa Bay Comic Con. I know this because my brother not only told me, but people around that person were starting to sing the old Spider Man jingle, Spider T Rex, Spider T Rex. And the first thing that came to my mind is, wait a minute, you're old enough to have seen those cartoons where, Spider-Man shoots that black web. But on top of that, I can imagine if you as a legally blind person gets there alone in such a busy place, a legally blind person would feel absolutely helpless. And trust me, one of the worst things that a disabled person can feel is feel helpless. Okay, and believe me, it goes on from day to day events. Okay, just a couple of days ago, okay, I was in my leasing office, okay, there to talk about something just after, like, having my morning shower and brushing my teeth and whatnot, right after freshening up. I was sitting there for 20 minutes, and then, like, the person who was attending another customer said that, Tan, listen, by the way, you have some toothpaste over on side of your face. I'm like, oh my God. Like, imagine how embarrassing it is just to sit there in public with, like, some white stuff on the side of your face without even knowing it, because you cannot look at your own reflection in a mirror. Okay, your eyesight is that bad. So that's just an example. Like, we already deal with a lot of day-to-day challenges at the very basic level, but this underscores the point. The worst thing a disabled person can feel is helpless, especially for the very basic needs, that they are always at someone else's mercy just for regular visual information. Their actual participation, as much as possible, is only as a result of favors, and their presence is perceived as an inconvenience. And this is what a lot of disabled people feel from an exocentric perspective. Trust me, I have spoken to them. That is how they feel. And sorry, I've digressed a little bit, but let me reiterate, this is why I am making this video. And also, like, I have allowed myself to put myself in that vulnerable situation so that I can have that egocentric experience, and I can inform other legally blind people better on what to expect if they attend a Comic Con. After all, legally blind people also are fans of entertainment. Okay, they also have celebrities that they would really like to meet. On a positive note, however, this gave my costume, the real Batman, which was just these sunglasses and a Batman t shirt, some creative originality. That the real Batman is very poor. So, in the venue, there were like ballrooms and conference rooms on the first floor, and the main signing area, a big, like, hall type area where all the celebrities were there, on the second floor. The celebrities were there for a moment, and that's where me and my brother went initially. I asked my brother to keep an eye out for Dave Foley. Okay, and yes, I found Dave Foley. I wanted to take his autograph. Okay, and I was so excited, but unfortunately, his table did not accept card payments, and we did not have that much cash with us. But in terms of card payments, I budgeted for actually meeting Dave Foley in person, because I'm such a huge Fallout New Vegas fan. And I really wanted the autograph of Yes Man. I even went like, "Hi, good to meet you. You were Yes Man from Fallout New Vegas. I tried to do my best Yes Man impression. Obviously, I can't do that because, like, Oxorn said, the YouTuber Oxorn, there is no such thing as too much Dave Foley voice acting. Unfortunately, I could not get the autograph, and what was even more sad to see that there was no line outside his autograph booth, which was, man, that's Dave Foley, man. That's Dave Foley. What hasn't he been in, man? But I honestly think it is because his table did not accept credit card payments. I really think that's the reason. Around this time, me and my brother, we talked it out and said that, okay, you know what? I want to have a bit of an unaided experience. So, he's going to let me have a bit of an unaided experience. And, he also, like, spotted some friends around the area. So he's just going to, like, speak to them. So in case he needed to find me, which, after spending time with his friends, like, we talked this over, right? I was very easy to find. There weren't other legally blind people in the convention. Okay. There were other disabled people. There were people on wheelchairs and whatnot, but legally blind there wasn't. So if he had to find me, I'll just tell him where I am. Okay. And I will just raise my blind cane and shake it in the air. So if anyone sees, like, 8 or 9 feet in the air, a legally blind cane waving around, he knew that was me. Okay. So I was good. And he did this after, spotting for me Alyson Court's table. Okay. And I thought that, since I could not spend the 50 on Dave Foley, I'm going to spend it on Alyson Court's table, speaking to her and getting her autograph. Also, surprisingly enough, Alyson's table was located right next to one of the entrances. And from a disabled person perspective, from a legally blind person's perspective, you couldn't have picked a better location. Think about it, all right? For a legally blind person who's there to meet certain celebrities, what could be more easier than having that table placed right next to the entrance? So the first celebrity the legally blind person encounters is basically right after that person enters the area, compared to if that celebrity's table was somewhere way in the back and the legally blind person would have basically, if unaided, had to go table to table, like, excuse me, who are you? Excuse me, who are you? Excuse me, who are you? Okay, believe me, that is unbelievably embarrassing. And this is why, like I said, I was happy that my brother actually helped me in locating the people I was looking for. Okay, because in other such events, like, let's say, career fairs, or basically, other events such as like, a lot of student organization fairs, this is what I end up doing. I end up going table to table, like, hi, who are you representing? Hi, what is this table for? Table to table, stall to stall. It looks very embarrassing. It looks really, really stupid. But us legally blind people, we almost have no other choice. And for the most part, I have become numb to this. So that is why a huge shout out to the event organizers. Maybe this is by coincidence, I don't know. But, shout out to the event organizers who placed a lot of tables very easy to find for people with disabilities. So, just to add to event organizers, just a message, please keep people with disabilities in mind during setup. During my wait, I've heard a lot of people, and one of them even actually dressed up as Pee Wee Herman, right? A lot of them were talking about Lunette. A lot of them were talking about Jubilee. Some even talking about Lydia Deeds from Beetlejuice. There's only one person who spoke of Claire Redfield. Okay. And in her other roles, unfortunately, no one spoke of some of the other characters, which I will get to, and keep this in mind for the next point. And yes, I was a little nervous. Yeah, I met professional wrestlers before, but I've never met a celebrity in a Comic Con before in such a setting. So, yes, I was a little nervous. But once my turn came up, there was a lady sitting next to Alyson who took my card payment. And she said that the 8 by 10s available were that of Jubilee, were that of Lydia Deeds, and were that of Lunette the Clown. I asked, is there anything else? She said, yes, there was this one game called Resident Evil, and she played Claire Redfield. I kept this hesitation in mind. And also, when I felt around in the stacks of the 8 by 10s, I noticed that the Claire Redfield 8 by 10 stack was a little taller. Um, okay, it's just an observation. Okay, like I really, really don't mean anything negative by it for anyone watching. Trust me, I don't. So I said that yes, the Claire Redfield 8 by 10 is what I want. Anyways, I gave my name in spelling Bengal Dragon. Okay, as in I said, like the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, and Alyson said hello, and she just turned to Alyson, the assistant. She said that I don't know, it's the name he gave. And then Alyson said hi and confirmed that whether this should be made out to Bengal Dragon. I just said as a joke, okay, just as a joke, that maybe someone else runs your Twitter? Because I said this as a joke because a lot of celebrities, they have other people who run their social media. I know this is not true with Alyson Court. After a few seconds, she said, "Oh my god, you're Bengal Dragon from Bangladesh. I'm so shocked and surprised that you made it here." I said that, "Alyson, I told you blind man will find a way." So, that interaction, like very, very positive. Really, really enjoyed that. And for this next part, I'm sorry for the delay, but this is one of the reasons it took a little bit of time for me to make this video. Just to digress a bit, I had to see The Joke Thief. This is because, just out of artistic curiosity alone, I always wanted to see what Alyson Court can do outside of a role where she's playing a child or she's taking care of a child. And Alyson, that's what I meant by babysitter. I did not mean any disrespect. It's just a shorter way of saying a role where you are taking care of a child. And by the way, thanks to Alyson Court and Frank D'Angelo for helping me find this video, because apparently, like on Amazon, it's not there anymore, at least the last time I checked. But The Joke Thief, yes, it is a drama film which had an interesting concept and an interesting idea, and even the filmography style, the storytelling style. I liked it. And yes, some parts did drag on for a bit too long. But in terms of Alyson Court, the best way to describe it is that it has an Alyson Court cameo. I mean, come on, she has had more of a presence in Sunny Skies, and Sunny Skies was a short film. And just to highlight the artistic curiosity bit a bit more, I always wanted to see what Tiffany Brissett and Jerry Supiran could do outside of playing kids in Small Wonder. I always wanted to see what Wendy Malick could do outside of her role in Just Shoot Me. And by the way, Wendy Malick is still acting, by the way. All right. And if you know what to look for, you will know that there is much more to Wendy Malick's acting than Nina Van Horn in Just Shoot Me. I just started watching Married with Children, and after watching a few episodes, I could tell there is much more to David Garrison's acting abilities than playing Steve Rhodes in Married with Children. After listening to Hinamatum, I want to listen to everything Mick Gordon does and produces, regardless of the style he is trying. I want to see what Mick Gordon can do when he puts his touch to it. And in the same vein, after revisiting Code Veronica, after I've had all my knowledge of human intelligence and human psychology and whatnot, even knowing what to look for, after going through and perhaps even studying Alyson Court's performance in Code Veronica, I always wanted to see what else can she do outside of a role where she's playing a child or taking care of a child. And remember, Code Veronica is a game where the focus was on Alyson Court's characters, storytelling, and character development. Just like The Last of Us, the first one, was a story primarily about Troy Baker's characters, storytelling, and character development. This is why Hinamatum is very special to me, because it informed me that there is much more to Mick Gordon than just being the evolution of heavy metal. There is much more to him as a musician and a composer. And in a similar vein, it is her performance in Code Veronica that informed me that there is much more to Alyson Court as an actress outside of roles where she's playing a child or taking care of a child. Which brings me to one of the things I told Alyson. I said that her performance in Elvis Meets Nixon showed that she worked very hard for that role. And she nailed that role. And for me, someone who relies much more on sound, here is what gave it away.
Elvis? Elvis, wait. Oh, what, are you going somewhere?
Al.
All alone? Where are you going dressed like that? Wait, let's call some of the guys to go with you. Oh my God, what's he doing? Elvis can't travel alone. He doesn't carry money. He doesn't even know his own phone number.
I'm not sure about facial expressions as my eyesight is way too bad for that, but vocal tone and body language, man, she nailed it. And this was the time she was doing Lydia, Jubilee, Lunette, and maybe a few other roles that I'm not aware of. I noticed something. Priscilla Presley does not sound like any of her other roles. And like I said, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I have better trained ears than average. I could tell just by listening that Lydia and Jubilee and Lunette were voiced by the same person. I could not tell initially that Priscilla Presley was also that same person. That fact alone, on a surface level, it goes to show how much effort Alyson put and how meticulous she is. The other thing that through listening became obvious to me is the fact that both Priscilla Presley and Code Veronica Claire, specifically, these two characters do not have the Canadian raising accent. And if you go back and listen to her other roles, there is a Canadian raising accent. And what this told me is that the meticulous nature of Alyson's performances was on show because Claire Redfield and Priscilla Presley are American characters. And this is what I told Alyson. And I'm sorry, Alyson, like maybe I became a bit too passionate or whatnot. I just started banging the table like this. But like I said, I was a bit nervous. Okay. Never attended such an event before. I said to the listeners, I said that this surface level information showed me that Alyson Court took Code Veronica Claire, and I meant to say Priscilla Presley as well, as seriously as Tom Hardy takes Eddie Brock in Venom. And I've mentioned this in a previous video. Tom Hardy sounds very British. Eddie Brock sounds almost as an exaggeration of an Italian American stereotype. Okay, he sounds that American from time to time. And as I mentioned, this was just a surface level analysis. Like, listen, I was at a convention where these celebrities were working. Okay, so it's not the best place to have a lengthy discussion. But to all my listeners and viewers, if you want me to talk more about Elvis Meets Nixon, put it in the comment section below. And speaking of the 8x10, this is the 8x10 that I got from the convention. I am cherishing this, ladies and gentlemen, considering the Bengal dragon name on it. Out of curiosity, I did speak of her husband as well. And yes, my intuition was right. He was there. So we went to a side and spoke about a few things. I gave him the gift I got for him and Alyson, and he helped me take this selfie. As blind man is not good at taking selfies, let alone taking selfies with multiple people in it. So thank you very much for the assistance and for this selfie, Mr. Thomas. He also gave me this, a signed copy of The Biotic Crisis. Apparently, this is a comic that him and Alyson worked together on. Now, I have shown this to my friends. They just went through a few pages. I have shown this to my boss. She reads comics. She also went through a few pages. I have shown this to people at the Florida Institute of Technology Society for Science Fiction and Fantasy just yesterday. They really liked it. 100% of them, all of them really liked the artwork, the nature of the dialogue, and also the overall plot that they have discerned just by going over a few pages. So, people, if you are a survival horror fan, if you are a Resident Evil fan, you do not want to skip on this. Once again, it is the Biotic Crisis, and it is through Trepidation Comics. The link to Trepidation Comics is in the description below. But overall, to summarize my interaction with Alyson and Zach, people, I knew they were nice. I did not know they were this nice. My respect for them multiplied fivefold. In fact, Alyson was doing a panel in a little bit after the signing. Now, after this interaction, I decided to actually attend this because, and I also mentioned this to Mr. Thomas as well. Like from time to time, the little bit I have come across in terms of interviews and whatnot, the very little bit, Alyson Court dropped some intellectual gems here and there. And given the fact that it's been over 10 years that I am in educational psychology, a field that is completely immersed in human psychology, human intelligence, and human information processing, I attended just to listen to what she has to say. And I was not disappointed. She did drop another intellectual gem. Anyways, after that, I linked up with my brother and we tried to go to the panel that had Andy Serkis and Elijah Wood. That event got filled to capacity in less than 5 minutes. So we could not attend. I also wanted to attend the DC cosplay event because I had something specific planned for that actually. But unfortunately, for that, I needed one of my friends to be present because I was trying to get one of my friends to come with me to this Tampa Bay Comic Con. The idea was that on stage, I would confront someone in a Batman costume as the real Batman. I would also say that you stole all my money, fake Batman, and you could afford training by ninjas and whatnot. But me, living in Florida, the real Batman had a sensei that you can never find with all that money. Florida man. And, I would bring out my friend, to play Florida man. The evolution of South Park's Alabama man. Alabama, he's quick, he's strong, he's active. And we would have an interesting exchange, fake Batman and I. But sadly, my friend could not attend, so those plans were shelved. So after that, I waited for the photo op with Alyson Court, right? And during the wait, I had an interesting conversation with a couple of people who told me an interesting Hulk Hogan story. And I was like, man, I have heard time and time again that he's one of the most disliked people in professional wrestling, but I did not know that he was so unpleasant to be around. I will get to the photo op by the end of this video, bringing in the real Batman to explain the context. But overall, I will tell you my experience was surreal. Yes, at many times, especially the times I wanted to be alone and independent, I felt so helpless and out of place, as if like a blind man has no business being here. And yes, me and many other legally blind people, we always have a little bit of this fear of being left destitute and at the mercy of other people to such an extent that it feels almost degrading and humiliating. But without taking that risk, without allowing myself to become that vulnerable so that I can have this egocentric experience without putting myself in this situation, I would not have learned what I did. And the fact that I have met two of the most wonderful and more importantly, genuine people that I will ever meet, ZM Thomas and Alyson Court. This endeavor, this entire experience was worth it. It was an absolute honor and privilege to meet ZM Thomas and Alyson Code. And Zach, I will have to thank you once again for the encouragement that your tweet gave me. I learned from your tweets. And you know, what you learn from information is not necessarily identical to what you were taught using information. And to all my viewers, let me know if you have any questions and put it in the comment section below. Now for the photo op. Here is the real Batman. Greetings. This is the real Batman. Now let me give you the context behind this picture and why I paid for this photo op. As you know from my YouTube channel, I do character analyses, and the first character I have ever analyzed is the original timeline Claire Redfield. And as you know, I have discovered that Claire Redfield is the deepest character in all of Resident Evil by a long shot. I mentioned to Alyson that Claire Redfield had the potential to become the phantasm of Resident Evil. As you know, Claire was given the tragic backstory of a superhero, but Capcom never went anywhere with it. In recognition of this depth of character and the fact that as a result, Claire Redfield is the most unique female protagonist in gaming, I, the real Batman, invites the original timeline Claire Redfield to reside in Gotham City, the home of very deep characters. And also, Raccoon City is destroyed anyways. I think Claire accepted the invitation to move into Gotham City. Isn't that right, Alyson?